everybody, and welcome to the Empowering Industry podcast. I'm your host, Charli K. Matthews, and I'm excited to be here. I love the podcast. Gives me this way to talk to kind of whoever I want to. Amazing people I meet in industry. I'm just walking along and I meet a leader and I'm like, hey, join the podcast. But it's also very intentional to kind of keep you up to date on what's going on, some thought leaders in the industry, and some cool partners that we have. And so today, I'm bringing in Roto Pumps and several people from their team that have just been fun to meet and kind of reconnect with. And so I am excited to introduce you to them. So we'll start with Chris, which will be funny because there's two Chris's, but go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, Charli. Thanks for having us on the podcast. So I'm Chris Karasch. I've been in the progressive cavity pump market and industry for 16 years. I found my way here not by design, but I'm enjoying it. And I've built a career on it, so I must like something about it. I have a 14-year history with a large multinational and now a 2-year history with a smaller multinational, both manufacturers of progressive cavity pumps. So we're excited to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on, Charli. My name is Chris Davis, and I live up in Rhode Island, just south of Boston. I'm a former professional ice hockey player whose first job after sports was pumps. And so I've been in pumps for about 12 years, and out of those 12, 10 of them, I've been working for this knucklehead here. So we've got a really good friendship and working relationship as well. But I remember the first day that I joined the pump industry, the gentleman that hired me said, okay, kid, now that you're in the industry, you never leave the pump industry. When you join, you never leave. So I said, you're crazy. No way. Absolutely not. This is just a starter job. But, 12 years later to be, heading up a sales team and working for a guy that I trust and that has been in the industry a long time is really exciting. So I can't say enough good things about the pump industry. And for anyone who's tuning in for this podcast, if you're looking for a job or exploring new opportunities, there's not a better industry to find opportunity right now these days.
So true. So much there as far as getting into the pump industry and staying. I created a company so I could stay here and kind of fulfill the things that I wanted to do to help this industry and the people and kind of the products that we have. Keep our world running, keep our comfort, keep some things that people don't even know pumps are involved in, which hopefully we'll get into some of that. But before we move on, I want to, just stay here for just a minute and ask y'all why pumps? Like, how did you get into, what was it before you got into industry? I think it's important to share.
So for myself, I started out selling transportation out of college, and then I wanted to make a geographical change and move to the South. And so through that, I was introduced to pumps by a coworker in my previous job, and they told me that it was interesting. It was an engineered product that we worked in a lot of different markets. And so, I had a sales background, but it seemed like a natural move going into an engineered product. So that's how I got into pumps.
Awesome. Chris?
I was a washed up pro hockey player coaching some kids and was looking for jobs, and it was kind of a tough time for guys that really my resume was just a blank piece of paper at the time. So I was coaching some kids, and a father came up to me and said, my kid just raves about you as a coach and says you got a great personality, and are you looking for something a little bit more permanent with benefits? And I was like, yes, absolutely. He goes, all right, put on a suit, come to Meriden, Connecticut, and interview with my company on Monday. I'm like, all right. So I went to a company that made submersible pumps, and I didn't even know which way the water went in the pump the first day for my interview. I had no business being hired, but that was really it. It was like me taking a shot at a job that had benefits and was full-time. And that company gave me an opportunity to then move up and get into sales. And kind of the rest is history, as I've always loved being in a sales role and being able to compete. But it's interesting when you're doing it with process equipment or something that's been manufactured for a specific purpose. These are not widgets that we joke. These aren't widgets that we're selling. These are like really custom designed and high quality manufactured equipment. So it is fun to sell something that's providing a solution on a larger scale, doing things that we don't even really think about half the time, like selling a pump for a pet food plant or, at a drinking water plant, just things that we don't really think about. But it's important, it's crucial, and you do need knowledge and professionals to help promote and move that equipment.
Yes, and I wanted to set y'all up to know that you are talking with two leaders, two influencers, two salespeople that have, created teams. And I always think of myself as a salesperson. That's what I did first. I graduated in business and finance, which doesn't even make sense to what I do now, but it does, right? And so I always try to kind of challenge to look backwards, and that is that development of relationships. That's the sales background. You have to build relationships. And so great at doing this. I watched it firsthand recently, that both Chris jumped in and kind of built that relationship with me, which I'm excited about. And I just want to talk a little bit about um, pumps. And when I think about how I met you and saw your card, re-met you and saw your card, and it has a heart on it. And so anybody who's been on the podcast has followed my journey of repairing a valve within my heart system. But it's very unique to have that. So can y'all tell me a little bit about Roto Pumps and kind of that branding of the heart?
Yeah, so when you looked at the business card on the back of it, it does have a heart with some mechanical components to it, and it says we compete with only one pump, and so the heart being obviously the most important pump in terms of your well-being and life. Um, so yeah, so obviously pumps are important to us. It's a part of our branding, and in particular, we make a positive displacement pump, which is very similar to the human heart if you think of it as a pump.
It's like the pump is the heart of the system, and I know we've talked about that in a lot of different industries and conversations. So it just drew me to that. Um, I want you to tell me about your kind of next plan for Roto Pumps USA. Tell us a little bit more about where we're going with that.
All right, so whenever I was recruited to take leadership at Roto Pumps, I was working for a large publicly traded pump company, and that environment I would say was not the best suited for me, not best suited for my personality. I'm not a spreadsheet manager. I'm not a micromanager. So I needed to get to a place where I was having fun selling pumps again. And that's what we're good at. That's what I personally enjoy. I enjoy supporting our customers, being in front of them, learning their applications and problem solving their needs. And so I was looking for a place to get to. So the timing could not have worked out any better for me. Yeah, so Roto Pumps in North America was started as an aftermarket company. All right, so we were selling reverse engineered pumps and parts for other manufacturers. And so the goal, whenever I came on board, was to take that and shift the business from aftermarket to our proprietary designs. All right, so we make progressive cavity pumps, we make twin screw pumps, and that's now become the focus of our business as our own branded proprietary design. And so over the past 2 years, when we started, we didn't really have a distribution network. We didn't have any sales channel partners that were dedicated to the proprietary design. And so that was our focus in the beginning, was to establish and develop that sales channel network. And then from there, really start promoting our own products. So that's what we've done. And we moved the location in the fall of last year from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Fort Mill, South Carolina. We changed our inventory to focus more on our proprietary products and not the aftermarket. And so there's been a lot of transformational change in Roto Pumps over the last 2 years, and it's really paying off for us now. Our growth has been exceptional.
Okay, so tell me some of your favorite applications. You mentioned a couple, Davis did earlier, but tell us a little bit more about that and kind of how they're being used.
Yeah, so the interesting thing with progressive cavity pumps is that for almost all manufacturers, about 40% of the business ends up being focused on the environmental market. So that's your wastewater treatment, your water treatment, and your biogas facilities. And so the applications in there are often repetitive and maybe a little bit less interesting. Some of the ones that we do get into that I think are unique are the pumping of aggressive chemicals, things like sodium hypochlorite, ferric chloride, things that you typically don't associate with progressive cavity pumps, but they're actually excellent for metering those chemicals. The other really interesting one to me is dewatered cake applications. Okay, so anything coming from a mechanical dewatering device, we can take that high solids concentrated dewatered cake, and then we can pump it, whether that be for landfill or further processing, drying. There's many things that can be done with it. And so those sort of two things are interesting applications to me in the environmental market. When we step outside of the environmental market, that's where we get into some really interesting things, whether that be in poultry, food and beverage, oil and gas. There's a lot of areas of application where you would not think that pumps are used at all, or really for those things that you might be consuming.
Yeah. Chris Davis, you got anything to add there?
Well, I just think what keeps it exciting with this specific technology is it's a fairly simple pump to figure out once you kind of been trained on it mechanically and all that, but it's very diverse in the markets and the industries it goes into. So when I explain it to one of our new hires, like what our job is as sales professionals, you got to put a different hat on pretty much for every customer that you're going to go visit, because on a typical week that you're spending time with our distribution, they're taking you to a wastewater plant, a pet food plant, a yogurt plant, a mine, a pulp and paper plant. I mean, there's so many different industries that these pumps go into. So your value really does increase with time, with just being out in the field and seeing these applications and understanding. I think what's more important is to this, the process, because then you can kind of explain and backdoor your way in there of this is where the pump should fit in within this process. This is what we can accomplish for you guys. So that's what's fun. Anytime we can solve a problem and do it with one of our products and have a happy customer that can help promote us and maybe even get repeat business. I mean, that's the goal for all of this. But to piggyback on what Chris was saying earlier, just about Roto Pumps, you know, this company that we joined a few years ago, it's a much different company now, just 2 years later. So for us, having the relationship that we have with each other where we can push each other and we're both driven and want to be successful, you know, when you're with a smaller company like this that's growing fast, it's really exciting because you can be flexible, you can attack, you can move around faster, but at the same time, we're very stretched and we're wearing a lot of hats right now, doing a lot of different things. So our company is growing. We just have a couple new hires this past quarter, which is really exciting for Roto Pumps in North America and the growth pattern.
Yeah, and I love this because there's so many different levels of company and ownership and just driving yourself, right? That self-leadership. But I love the background, the coaching, the high achiever or high performer. Well, we can get into that conversation later. My leadership coaches know what I'm talking about. But there is that need to compete and win, which is really part of the team that you are building. So it sounds like a great place to work. It sounds like they're growing. So y'all pay attention if you're looking for something in the pump industry. Sounds like a great place. And then I don't want to leave before we talk about kind of where the pumps are manufactured. And I think this is really neat. It's a passion for me right now and kind of discovery. India's on my heart, right? Which I've been looking at how I can understand the culture, the business, manufacturing over there, who's leading over there. And so in that process, it was also brought up to me that Roto has manufacturing in India. So tell us a little bit about that and kind of how y'all work together.
Yeah, so Roto Pumps was, started by an Indian coal miner. He actually owned a coal mine, and they were importing all-Weiler pumps out of Germany, and they were having issues with lead times, cost, delivery, and so he thought, you know what, we can cut out this supplier and we can make these ourselves. So that's really the foundation of Roto. It was somebody that had a need, and the needs weren't being met. So they decided to do it themselves, right? And from that, this company started. It's been 56 years and going, maybe 57 at this point. But the manufacturing plant itself is in Noida, India. And that's one of the great things about Roto Pumps is that the quality has been exceptional. So everybody has this mindset, at least I did, going to an Indian manufacturer, that we're going to have quality issues, right? People cut corners, you can't trust sub-suppliers, all those types of things. And our experience has been the exact opposite. People there seem to genuinely care about the products that they're putting out. They want to become the global economic leader. And so they're doing all the right things to make that happen, okay? I think that I read that India is now pushing for a 70-hour plus work week. So, everyone is fully committed to making that happen and becoming this global economic leader. And so that is reflected in our products, right? And so everything that we do, all of our manufacturing is done in-house to even the smallest of components. And so our quality controls are exceptional. The other thing is that we have all of the international quality standards. We have the North American quality standards. And so our customers that have actually been to our factory come back and tell us that it's not a myth, it's a world-class facility. And so that gives us confidence when we're out selling products, right? And putting them into service, because we can count on the quality of what's taking place and the products that we're putting out.
I love it. I am excited to see it when I go to India. That's going to happen. Let's make it happen. Okay. So other things that are coming down the pipe, we have WebTech, which I heard a little bit in your explanation of, what your products are able to do. So I heard a lot of that. I look forward to seeing you. Hopefully you're walking WebTech. We have also partnership. Chris Davis is going to be speaking to us with Epic. What can we get excited about there, and kind of seeing you? That's November the 12th and 13th at the Colorado School of Mines. But there's so much there. It goes outside of mining and the industry. So what are you excited about there, Chris?
I'm actually just really excited to network. I mean, this is going to be fun. I'm going to be a panelist, so I really appreciate you guys thinking of me and inviting me to do that. So I'm excited to participate as a panelist. I'm sure I'll get some interesting questions. For me, seeing my fellow panelists, I haven't yet to connect with them in the industry yet, so that's going to be exciting. But when you look at where Roto Pumps is and, the history and the story of it, the company cut its teeth in the mining industry. So I think there's no better partnership from us and Empowering Pumps to come together for that show at the Colorado School of Mines. So I've got that date circled. I'm really excited about it, but hopefully I can continue to meet some good people in this industry and answer some questions intelligently, and hopefully steer some younger professionals into something similar to what we do. It really is a cool industry. There's a high demand for young professionals. There's a lot of knowledge that's exiting the industry right now on the flip side. And so there's a huge void that needs to be filled. So I think that should be a great opportunity to not only promote Roto Pumps and myself, but also to meet some new professionals in the industry.
Well, you're absolutely going to do that. The best leaders are all coming together there in November. And we will have a mine tour. I'm really excited about that. I've never been to a mine. So just again, anytime that we can go to a plant or a situation where in a field that we can learn from, it's so important, because that's where we see how people actually do the work. And then that inspiration comes, and innovation, and those young minds being there as well. It's a, what do you call it, equation for success and innovation, which I am really excited about. So with that, I want everybody to pay attention to Roto. There's so much coming down the pipe with them. September, October, November is going to be exciting. And I would also say share this. It's so much knowledge that we dropped on people here today. Share this with your community. Get in touch with these guys. So how would y'all like them to do that? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
My email is super easy, or you can give us a phone call, chris@rotopumps.us. It's really simple.
Perfect. And we'll definitely do that. We'll show all that in the show notes as well. And until next time, be empowering.